You know what I want from you?
For Christmas or Halloween? Which is tomorrow.
For Veterans Day.
Ah.
I want a Classical Rebellion fanfare. You put it together.
All right.
And we'll send it to someone who knows how to use Sibelius. And we'll get an MP3 file and we'll have a Classical Rebellion fanfare.
My latest commission.
Yes. You'll be paid well. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
For another episode of
Classical Rebellion! I went messa de voce there. Did you like that?
That was very impressive for a Helden tenor like you.
Right.
I didn't feel like holding back.
Yes. Okay,
well,
so what do we got?
Tomorrow is Halloween.
Tomorrow's Halloween.
Or All Hallows Eve. I'll be doing Vespers tomorrow evening.
Very nice.
And after Vespers, up there in Presidio Park someplace, probably around midnight, the less salubrious agents of darkness will be getting together, which apparently they do. I don't know. But anyway, so on today's episode, we thought we would talk about the supernatural.
Yes. Specifically in opera.
In opera.
Because I don't like it in orchestral music because I think orchestral music shouldn't have a program. Even though sometimes it does.
Even though sometimes it does.
Yes. If it doesn't have text.
There's St. John's Night on the Bald Mountain by Mussorgsky.
Yep. There's Baba Yaga. The pictures at an exhibition.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, program music has its place, but
by and large, I'm not a.
But in opera,
it's different.
There's much more scope.
There's a lot of supernatural.
So we thought we would talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Our favorite operas that deal with the supernatural.
So what were the few that you immediately thought of? There were a few I immediately was like, oh, well, yeah.
Well, immediately I thought of Der Freischütz.
Right, yep.
Der Freischütz by Vapor.
Karl Maria von Weber.
I thought of Ruddy Gore by Gilbert and Sullivan.
Oh, yeah, I'm not really a Gilbert and Sullivan guy.
Ruddy Gore is a classic.
Okay.
I thought about, obviously, Faust.
Absolutely.
And I thought about Don Giovanni.
Yeah, the Stone Guest.
And, of course, Boito's Mephistopheles.
Yes. And
I mean, these are all amazing pieces. Ruddy Gore's humorous, but still.
I would also say, and every single opera that Wagner wrote, save Meistersinger and Tristan. Dutchman.
Well, yes.
Tannhäuser.
Dealing
Lohengrin.
with Nordic gods.
Yes, they're supernatural.
And the supernatural. Yeah. Well, yes, I mean, but I think really we're talking about, so given that it's Halloween.
Especially, there's nothing more Halloween to me than the Dutchman.
The Dutchman is a great Halloween
There's a ghost
opera.
ship, for crying out loud.
Now, I remember a long time ago, we did Norma at San Diego Opera, and we opened on the 31st of October. And I thought myself, if I'd been the general director of an opera company, and there was a huge, big Celtic full moon rising on the set, I would have had it turn just briefly into a pumpkin fade, into a jack-o'-lantern, and then fade back into the moon.
Yes, but you're also a fan of vaudeville, so.
Well, you have to, but you have to please the audience. We're all here on Halloween for the season opener of Norma, and you might as well have a little fun with
it. It would have to be at the right moment, though, not the wrong moment.
Well, if your Friday night opener just happened to fall on the 31st of October,
within
you
the
didn't have to do it. I'm not saying that they should do it in every performance, but if you're doing it on Halloween, have a little fun. The audience would have gone.
If they could have done it during the overture, that would have been
That would have been it.
Yeah.
But it would have been a nice nod to here we are all together on this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was roundly criticized. Oh, you couldn't do that to opera. You couldn't do that to Bellini.
No, Bellini has no sense of humor.
Well, no, I mean, Norma's a very serious opera, but
It is very serious opera.
But at the very
got
beginning,
Romans.
before it gets to, it
By
has
the way,
druids as well.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire? Just generally.
I was just listening to a list of all 148 rulers of the Roman and Byzantine Empire last night on YouTube, just refreshing my memory.
Gotcha. So daily?
I think about
every other
about
day?
daily, yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
Rome's not that far in the past, folks.
Yeah, just checking. That was a thing going around apparently for a while. And Emma and Jackson, my children, asked me, "How often do you think of the Roman Empire?" And I said, probably every other day.
Yeah.
And so the thing going around was,
but see,
that like specifically daughters and wives didn't realize how often men think about the Roman Empire, because they don't think about it much at all, but we apparently think about it almost nonstop. So Norma.
Well, I mean, there are different reasons. I mean, something that is that enormous in its scope.
I'm just saying, man.
And its historical influence, but there are different reasons for thinking of being Catholic. You know,
yeah, it's hard
I think
to
about the
it's
Roman
hard to
Empire
escape
a lot.
There. Yeah.
But then there's just all kinds of cultural reasons. I mean, somebody asked me yesterday, have you ever heard of a carnix? I said, yeah, that's the Celtic war trumpet with the dragon mouth on it. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I said, that's actually a Celtic instrument that was made extinct by the Romans before Christ. So this was a musical instrument that never had a Christian application.
Huh.
It was they were gone and buried in the ground, and they didn't start turning up until the middle of the 19th century, and everybody went, what are these?
Interesting.
It's a very fascinating instrument. But anyway, I mean, it goes out of a tube and it goes up about 4 feet, and then the mouth points forward, and you can go, and make all kinds of weird sounds come out of it. It has a harmonic sequence. Look it up sometime on YouTube. Look at the Carnyx, Carnyx. I'd love to have about 4 of them.
Okay. Well, good luck.
Do
a lot of digging.
Yeah. But anyway, there are all kinds of reasons that the Roman Empire crops up.
Right.
And Norma is one of them.
Yeah.
But
not a very Halloween opera.
Well,
the Druids.
Well, Druids.
Yeah, Druidism. Yeah, you can.
Out there.
Okay, Norma counts.
Out there in
Norma.
Stonehenge, worshipping moss, and it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So Norma can be a Halloween opera.
Yeah.
But I have always wanted to do a season opening production of Der Freischütz.
Yeah.
Der Freischütz in October would just be fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And the Wolf's Glen scene.
Yes.
Where Max
Max bringt gute Trinken mit.
and he summons up Samiel, the evil spirit, the devil, who then casts a spell over the bullets so that they'll come back and hit the guy that shoots them.
Right.
And he says Samiel. And then the famous depiction of all the upturnings of nature. A pig runs across the stage, and all these different animals come out of the wood. It's every time I drive up Interstate 15 and go over the hill into Temecula.
Okay.
There are these wonderful rocks on either side of
bones of the mountain.
The bones of the mountains, and there are these promontories with California oak trees, these dark oak glens, and every time I drive by it, I think, that's my Wolf's Glen. That's where I would, if I could.
That's where I'd curse those bullets.
Oh, if I could design a production of Freischütz in California, I would use that landscape for that. I think it would be great.
Yeah.
So anyway, Der Freischütz is a wonderful supernatural opera,
and wonderful
and everything
music.
Turns out well. By the way,
great music though.
Oh,
surprisingly, if you've never listened to it, you'll be surprised.
It's a lot of fun. And the overture is very, very famous. Yep. And for such highly characterful music with tension and release.
Sturm und
Sturm
Drang.
Drang. And, this is part of the early 19th century romanticism coming out of staid classicism.
Yeah.
Where
Yep.
to let's hear it and see it on stage, how some emotion. This was the prototype. And for a score that's only about that thick, it's because it does have spoken dialogue in it and spoken scenes, but it's amazingly full. It's really a gripping opera. Highly recommended if you've never heard it.
Absolutely.
There's a wonderful film of it on YouTube by a German opera company. It was
Really?
made in the early 1960s.
Ah.
It's a filmed stage version. It's
Got
really
it.
good. So get out to Freischütz, and maybe next Halloween you'll be going as Max or Kaspar, or Samuel. So what's one of your favorites?
Well, yeah, I was going with Don Giovanni and the Stone Guest.
Oh, yes.
And, of course, Don Giovanni subsequently being dragged to hell. Very Halloween. Very Halloween.
That's one of the great things about Amadeus.
That's a fantastic production of Don Giovanni in that film.
That's an old-fashioned 18th century production.
I remember
That's what it
watching
looked
that.
like.
I know. It was like, what is this opera? I mean, I was in high school. I wasn't an opera fan.
People don't think of Don Giovanni as a ghost opera, but it is.
Yes, it is.
When her father, the boom, boom, pounding on the door, and he says, Don Giovanni, I've come to supper.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he takes him by the hand, and he says, it's so cold. And, it's wonderful stuff.
Repent! No!
No, yes! No! Yes, no! And he drags him down to hell, and the demons are swinging back and forth across the stage because he's unrepentant.
Yep.
Oh, it's great stuff. And then they all have to...
Then they have the, hey!
They have the sextet afterwards, and they go, what just happened? But we're still here, and we're sorry, and everything's going to be good now.
Yeah. I don't know if you could count Magic Flute. I mean, it's more archetypical, I guess, than supernatural, with Queen of the Night and Zoroaster and the Sun, and
the whole thing
it's kind
is
of it's more symbolic than supernatural, I guess.
Yeah, the whole thing is a supernatural metaphor, I mean, but I mean, it's I would count that.
Okay. Faust is the opera par excellence.
Or in France, Marguerite, because there's only one Faust, and that's Goethe's.
Goethe. See, oui.
They wouldn't even call the opera Faust, written by a Frenchman, because only Goethe wrote Faust.
Sure. I respect that. Fine, Marguerite.
Call it what you want. It's a great opera.
How about Valentine? Call it that.
Yeah.
Just for that aria.
Pa, 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 the Soldier's Chorus,
Soldier's
Chorus,
I
mean,
yeah.
that's great stuff.
Yeah, but the most Halloweenish, Halloweenish scene, I believe, is Hey, Satan, conduis le bal!
Oh, Satan,
conduis le bal!
Hey, Satan, conduis le bal! Yes. Conduis la balle! And Satan conducts the ball. It's Le Veau d'Or, the calf of gold. And he sings this aria about this, and then it says, and Satan conducts the ball. It's just, years ago, EMI put out a CD or tape that made it onto a CD called Opera Goes to Hell.
Ah.
And, of course, that's on it.
That's on it, yeah.
And some choruses from...
And then maybe the All Souls version would be the Ascension chorus at the end of Faust. Yeah?
Quite, that's right. Well, it does, Gounod is going to put a positive spin on it at the end.
Yeah.
That's a great opera, though. Faust is so much fun.
It's fun to be in. It's fun to see.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Is it great. That is great music.
That is a terrific opera. If you've never listened to it, by all means do. And also, yes, I always
get it mixed up. Is it the Jewel song?
La dormia
Yeah, the Valentine. Yeah.
No, that's Faust's nasty little song.
Oh, is it?
That he sings outside her window.
Oh.
I'm sorry, not Faust. Mephistopheles' nasty song. So he comes to her window and he sings this as, Margarita, are you sleeping? What are you dreaming? You know, and it says, what are you doing? And it's a and then his at the end of each verse he laughs.
Oh yeah. I always remember George London video of maybe from the Firestone.
The Voice of Firestone.
Yeah. Series maybe.
Oh,
black and white. But
he was about the best.
He was fantastic.
But
George London.
My
God, what a singer!
And then Faust, comes out and he gets in a duel with Valentine the brother, and Faust then kills her brother. So because he's made this deal that he'll get with the devil, that he'll get Marguerite, but in return for his soul, and of course it all goes wrong. Don't ever make deals like that.
No,
bad idea.
That brings me to
the devil lied to me.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's why the Dodgers and the Yankees are in the World Series.
Yeah, deal with the devil. Not really. The Dodgers are. They're anyway. Why?
Don't get me started. They could have swept last night, and they didn't because the devil lied to me.
Yeah,
I'm getting all behind the Dodgers because I just want this to be over as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I don't like it when the World Series goes into November.
Right.
It's the October Classic,
yeah.
And I want it to be done before Halloween.
Tonight.
They better. They're down 4-0 right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Can't count on anybody.
No.
Especially Mephistopheles.
Yeah. So these supernatural elements within opera very few of them were created within opera itself. They're all based on something on
legend
something
or
bigger.
myth or
yeah. So they're adapting literary or cultural phenomenon that has existed for some. I mean, Wagner's stuff goes back to the Middle Ages. Faust is 17th, 18th century when Goethe writes it. But this idea of deal with the devil, if you could curse bullets to kill your rival, would you? It's almost, I don't want to trivialize it, but they're almost like thought experiments. And
absolutely.
The power of the supernatural in these situations is to allow us to play with the idea. Play in a very like you don't play at like you're playing Mahler. You're not doing that to have fun necessarily. You're going after something else, but you're playing with it, pretending with it, so that you can put yourself into the situation and learn something about yourself, about how you would respond given the option of, extremely, but life or death. And this is a very, very important thing for all of us to be doing. And if you listen to Carl Jung, he will tell you it's addressing your shadow. So if you address your shadow, if you say, you know what, I could be Faust. That could be me. I could see myself going down that road, even though you would hope that's not who you are. If you acknowledge that, when you are then in a situation to break bad, you're more likely not to, because you've already addressed it within this pretend realm. And that's the power of the supernatural, specifically that we're talking about here in opera. You got any thoughts on that? The supernatural
what he said
creates a playground, a place for us to play emotionally and mentally with these big, massive concepts.
I can tell you this. And that's that, and this, here's another, I wouldn't call it a supernatural opera, but it's certainly a horror opera. Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd would be great at Halloween. But, okay, so the judge in Sweeney Todd is a very immoral character.
Yeah.
And, he has the scene where he sings mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, and he's watching... He sings a nasty version of the song Joanna, and while he's watching her through the keyhole, and he flagellates himself to orgasm while he's doing it. It is a nasty thing. And it's meant to be nasty. It's not for titillation, but because to show moral corruption at its just basest. I mean, everything about Sweeney Todd is meant to revolt us.
And it's easy for us to sit here...
to show us this is what human beings can do, and they do.
And to acknowledge, as an audience member, that there go I.
I had a chance to audition for the judge. I think there was a good chance I would have gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to the decision that I did not want to be that guy. I did not want to be seen to be that guy. I didn't want to go there. And, maybe that's because I do so much work in church music and one thing and another. I mean, I've always wanted to do the role. I mean, I don't like the idea of Sweeney Todd without that piece. And it's often cut because everything in musical theater becomes family entertainment. This isn't family entertainment, really. It's meant to teach us a very stern moral lesson, or at least a lesson about immorality. And I just decided I didn't want to be that guy. Scarpia is very close to that, to the judge.
Yes.
In the Te Deum.
Yeah, especially with the abuse of position and authority.
In the Te Deum scene, when he says, l'uno al capestra, one on the scaffold, l'altra fra le mie braccia, Tosca, mi fai dimenticare Dio. Tosca, you make me forget God. He's basically bringing himself to an orgasm of his own power over these people. It's really unclean. And I came to the conclusion a long time ago that if I could do Scarpia, if it were in my voice, I don't know whether I'd want to be that guy. It's just horrific.
Right. The point being,
so
you could, given the right circumstances, become that guy.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And so by acknowledging that in the here and now when you're not that guy, prevents you from ever becoming that guy.
Perhaps so. No, I see what you mean.
It's a very strange thing, but it's how regular people became prison guards at concentration camps.
Right.
They never assumed they could do anything so evil, and then they slowly went there.
So...
it's a highway to hell, John. It's just a staircase to heaven.
That's right. The road to hell is long and broad.
Yes. What else?
Well, Ruddy Gore, if you've never seen it, Ruddy Gore is a delightful parody of 19th century English melodrama, which wasn't very successful at the time because everybody really liked 19th century melodrama, and they're like, why are you picking on our melodrama? But it does have vast amusements, including the wonderful song, When the Night Wind Howls. When the night wind howls in the chimney cowls, and the bat in the moonlight flies.
Nice.
When inky clouds, like funeral shrouds, sail over the midnight skies. It's great stuff.
Sounds like Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's called the Ghost's High Noon.
Ah.
Then is the Ghost's High Noon, with these voices upstairs that go, ha ha! It's great stuff. That I highly recommend Ruddy Gore if you've never seen it, never heard it.
How's it spelled?
Ruddigore.
Okay.
Was originally Bloody Gore.
Oh.
But bloody was the same as using the F word in Victorian society, and so they had to change it. Yeah. So they made it Ruddy Gore.
Okay. Ruddy.
Ruddy is similar, but not. It's not. In fact, there's a wonderful scene in a Dorothy Sayers mystery Clouds of Witness, where Mrs. One of the wives of one of the house guests, there's been a murder, and she says, well, I heard him say, come back here, Cathcart, come back here, you fool, bloody fool.
Oh.
And she just says be
Be fool.
You know,
right.
you be fool. But they really were that sensitive about that word.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Bloody good to know, John.
Quite so, isn't it just?
Yes.
I had fish and chips last night for supper. It was really good. And then there's
you have vinegar?
Arrigo Boito.
Yes.
What a polymath.
I've listened to Mephistopheles just a handful of times. I was always impressed.
It's very impressive. And also considering the fact that that's the edited version.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like a 3-hour opera. But when it was premiered, it was a 6-hour opera.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. He went all the way. And he edited it, you know, because it was quite a scandal on its first night, just because nobody had ever seen anything like it. But there's so much good music in it. The prologue, you know, that builds to this just shattering climax with all the angel voices, you know, looking down at Mephistopheles, and then the aria Ecco il mondo. Look up, listen to Norman Traegle, the American bass baritone, sing Ecco il mondo, ta ta ti ta 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 ta. Ecco il mondo. And at the very end of the aria, so he talks about how these various aspects of the world, and then he picks up this great glass illuminated globe of the world, and he says, Ecco il mondo, ecco il mondo, and smashes it on the ground.
Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And Traegle was a great bass.
I can't remember the name of the soprano aria, but it's fantastic as well.
God, I can't. The only thing anybody remembers from Faust is Mephistopheles. From Mephistopheles,
Right, but there's a solid aria for the soprano.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. I'll
That
put
is
the text in.
fascinating, unique opera. You know, did it here at San Diego once, many years ago. And that was when San Diego Opera used to go on tour. They took it to Palm Springs and they did it up there.
All right.
And that was so Mephistopheles by Arrigo Boito, who was also the librettist for any number of operas by Verdi and others. He was a great poet as well as a composer.
Now, we should say that it's basically the same story as Faust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes the deal with the devil, but he gets away with it at the end.
Oh, really?
Yes, he does. He manages to redeem himself.
Really?
And
okay.
the
Now
devil
we're cooking.
is going off stage writhing in torment, and it's great. And you know, Norman Traegle was a consummate stage actor as well, and he
so much so he died there.
Yeah, he really got into it.
Was it Traegle that died on the Met?
No, it was Warren.
Leonard Warren.
No, Traegle had a heart attack. He died young, but you know he smoked like a furnace. He was just a very small, slight man, but he had this enormous voice.
That cigarettes, they thicken the cord so you can resist more pressure.
He had an enormous voice, cavernous, and his Olin Blick. There's some video of him doing Olin Blick in Carlisle Floyd's opera Susanna.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Not supernatural.
Not supernatural. Well, he was. Oh my goodness, he was intense.
I'm trying to think of. There's really no supernatural in Verdi anywhere that I can think of. There's a ghost story at the start of Trovatore, but it's just a story.
It's just a story.
Yeah.
I mean, Trovatore is decidedly spooky, and then there's in A Night at the Opera, Groucho crawls over into the box and says, "How'd you like to look like she feel? How'd you like to feel like she looks?"
Talking about
Azucena.
Yeah. Yeah, it's spooky, but it's not.
It's not supernatural.
I mean, but Burning Babies is pretty.
It's horrible. It's horrific.
Yes.
There's an element of horror in it. Yeah. It's fairly gothic.
There you go. Yeah.
There's certainly a sense of Well, I don't know if I could say it. There's awful lot of atmosphere at the beginning of Simon Boccanegra,
True.
where
Right.
they're singing around the campfire telling the story of Simone, the pirate who has become the Doge of Venice, and then the girl died. You know,
Right.
that's a very atmospheric opera,
Right. Yeah.
which I love dearly because it ends so unconventionally. It gets quiet at the end, you know, and so the shape of the opera, instead of rising to a crescendo of action, the action peaks in the middle with his poisoning and then fades away to calmness at the end when Gabriele Adorno becomes Doge. It's a great opera.
Yeah.
Very spooky. Spooky.
What else we got? Supernatural.
What else do we talk about? I mean,
Well, we've got all the Wagner, but you kind of put that over on its own because it's more saga, more.
that's not so. I wouldn't say that that's so much the supernatural as
I would
as
say-
mythos. It's myth.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
straight up myth.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's other Weber. I believe Oberon is supernatural.
well, Oberon is
Yeah.
pretty supernatural.
We got-
But I mean,
we
I
got
think
Benjamin Britten's Midsummer Night's. Didn't he write a Midsummer Night's Dream opera? Benjamin
Yes,
Britten?
yeah, he did.
There you go. That's supernatural.
yes, that is. You could count that.
Yep.
Could count
But it's
that.
midsummer, not October 31st.
Yeah, it's not horrific, you know, or spooky in that way. I'm racking my brain here.
Yeah, I think we've hit the high notes. Maybe if anyone watches this with more knowledge than us, which is probably a lot of people, you'd be surprised how much people know on the internet. It's
There's a lot of
wild.
Oh, sure, everybody
How much
knows.
people know.
Everybody knows
So
something.
if
on
we
the internet.
missed some,
If we missed your
some
favorites,
glaring omissions,
say so.
yes, put it in the comments after you subscribe,
Smash the button,
smash,
subscribe,
like
and subscribe,
share.
and say so. Give us your 2 bits worth. What are your favorites? What did we overlook?
Yeah.
But I wanted to actually show this
Oh,
just to the
yeah,
to the listening audience. This is the Simon and Schuster Book of the Opera, which really only takes opera history up through about 1975 or so, 1977.
Oh, as far as
However, there really haven't been that many significant operas written since 1977, and this book is as well illustrated and comprehensive a presentation of significant operatic history as any I ever saw. It's my favorite. I even made it a textbook when I taught a course in opera history at local university. And I personally read Grout, but I told them they could for extra credit. And Grout is a really good book. That is a very interesting book.
Yeah.
It's a concise history of opera, and that only goes up through about 1955 or 60, but it covers the historical periods so well, and I learned so much that I didn't even know at the time. You know, you soak up an awful lot in 40 years as a performer, but there was a lot in there that I didn't know, and I really enjoyed it. It doesn't even have any pictures, and I
no pictures.
and I enjoyed the book. But this book is really something. You can get it cheap on Amazon, you know, for $5, $10, something like that, and it's really worth having. So I
Very
think
good.
make a fine Christmas present.
Aye, think about that. The gift of a physical book for Christmas.
How about that?
They'll be thrilled
Yeah.
if they have a coffee table.
Give them a coffee table if they don't.
Oh yeah, that's a gift.
Facebook Marketplace.
Buy someone a coffee table and
So
a
that
coffee
they have a
table
place to
book.
put their coffee table books. Sounds like Kramer on Seinfeld.
You got anything else?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think, you know, that's about it for now. So, you know, happy trick-or-treating. And I hope somebody has the gumption to dress up as Brunhilde for Halloween.
Yeah, but the real Brunhilde, not the one from the Marvel MCU. No, the real.
Oh, I wouldn't know anything about
Well,
that.
it's just a Valkyrie. It's not Brunhilde.
Right. But Happy Halloween.
I'd like to see someone come as the Stone Guest. That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
That'd be a great Halloween costume.
Well, it needs to be a pair. One guy needs to be Don Giovanni, and then the other guy needs to be the statue.
Or Donna Anna, the daughter.
You could.
Yeah.
Maybe next year we should have a Classical Rebellion Halloween costume party.
That would be cool. You're all invited.
How many of you would come?
In character, yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. In character.
There you go. Comment what character you would be.
What character you
What
would...
opera character from a superstitious
supernatural
opera would you be for Halloween? You got an answer? Or we're gonna let it stew for a year.
Well, at the rate I'm going, I could be
Falstaff.
I could be Leporello.
Yeah, there you go.
But have a great
Good idea.
Halloween, and we'll see you in November. It's going to be
We got some good stuff coming up.
time for I Puritani.
Yes, we're going to do a deep dive of I Puritani for Thanksgiving. The
All right.
Puritans.
The Puritans, that's right.
I'm not going to sing a high E flat though.
It's a high F.
Is it high F?
It's a high
Well,
F.
I'm not singing one of those either.
And I have 2.5 octaves above middle C.
That was close.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so
See you
get
next
out
time.
there, and we'll see you next time on
On
Classical Rebellion.
Rebellion.